So the thing about asset protection is that it can be complicated, it can be easy. It's not about hiding your assets. It's really about utilizing the existing laws to put up those barriers so that anyone coming after you has a much harder time. So Brett, for example, if I own 5 rental properties and they're all in my personal name, or I stick them into my living trust, I have created no barrier between me and creditors or tenants or the world, right? A lot of what I see and what I deal with, I do a ton of cleanup, my company through Sage International, is that most people, when they're thinking of asset protection, they just go out and they do a bunch of stuff. And they don't really know what they did and why they did it. And then somewhere down the pipeline, something happens, or people are questioning, like their tax people, their bookkeepers, their insurance, everyone's questioning, what is it that you're doing? And if you can't explain it because you don't understand it, then it's probably not going to serve you in the future. And so that's one of the things that I've come to understand is that asset protection, when you want to build wealth, so I put that foundation under your dream, right? Whatever that entity looks like, corporation, LLC, series LLC, limited partnership, depending on what you're doing, who you're doing it with, where are you doing it, what is the ultimate goal, how are you generating those streams of revenue, what does it look like? And from that, then we set the right structures in place. As you move forward to create and continue to build wealth, one entity most likely is not going to serve you far into the future. So now we start adding other things, right? Whether that's trust, whether that's additional LLCs, maybe a series LLC, because there is one thing that is clear that once you start to create wealth, there's a lot of people who want it. So whether it's the IRS, disgruntled employee, a ex-spouse, federal, state, local government, there's a lot of people that are coming after you because you have that big target on your back called, I now have assets, right? I have assets that have equity or value. And so people are interested in that. So the thing about asset protection is that it can be complicated. It can be easy. It's not about hiding your assets. It's really about utilizing the existing laws to put up those barriers so that anyone coming after you has a much harder time. So Brett, for example, if I own 5 rental properties and they're all in my personal name, or I stick them into my living trust, I have created no barrier between me and creditors or tenants or the world, right? So by simply taking those 5 rental properties and retitling them under an LLC, or as I'll talk about in a little bit, series LLCs, I now have put that barrier in front that says, I'm going to be much harder to come after, Mr. Attorney, right? Versus me as a individual holding them all in my personal name, because now I've just opened that door. So the thing about asset protection, it's not about hiding those assets. It's using those laws and building those barriers, and it's all legal, right? This is all legal. We're not hiding anything. We're not trying to be anonymous. We're purely being smart about how we protect those assets that we're working so hard to create. So good asset protection is not going to prevent lawsuits. That's fact. So I can be sued for anything. And yet it's going to be harder and harder for people to come after me because it's going to be more complicated for them to reach into my bucket of wealth. And even we can get sued, even if we're not at fault or there's a problem, it's still stressful. It costs money. We have to deal with it, right? And so that's one of the things that, in the world of asset protection is that we have to utilize what I call the toolbox. And the toolbox is There's no one answer, no silver bullet, no one strategy that works for everybody.